Bhante, we would like to invite Bhante to kindly start the Dhamma talk now.
So, good evening to everybody. Selamat malam. We are going to start this Dhamma talk today, which is regarding what is right view and what is wrong view in Buddhism. So, this is a very crucial topic, and one could explain a lot regarding right view and wrong view. Because our time is limited, we will try to give as much as possible a brief explanation, but very also important explanation regarding the right view and wrong view. So first of all, we must know that as the great ocean has but one test, that of salt, so has the Buddha's teaching but one test, the test of freedom. It is the test of freedom from all suffering and the attainment of the supreme happiness of Nibbana. That's why the Buddha says, both formerly and now, what I teach is suffering and the cessation of suffering, which begins with right view as the first factor. So therefore, this Noble Eightfold Path starts with right view and continues with right thought, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right mindful concentration. So we can actually present this in this way. Here we have it, pengertian benar, after it is pikiran benar, and then ucapan benar, and perbuatan benar, and then mata pancaharlan benar, and we have daya upaya benar, and perhatian benar, and konsentrasi benar. So hence the Buddha says, right view is the forerunner of the Noble Eightfold Path. Therefore, if one wants to start practicing this path, one should have right view. If it is called the right view, it is because it leads us rightly to the right goal. The right goal is freedom from all existential suffering. This can be achieved through a right vision, samma dasana, into the nature of reality, yata bhuta. The correct knowledge into the true nature of the world within and outside us. Therefore, before one can begin treating the Noble Eightfold Path, one must have some degree of right view. Only when one knows clearly what one is seeking, will one be able to attain it. How is then right view the forerunner? Upangama. Why did the Buddha say like that? So the Buddha asks this question and replies thus. He says, one understands wrong view as wrong view and right view as right view. This is right view. Here now, in order to have right view, we must understand also what means wrong view. Therefore, this statement suggests that in order to acquire right view, we must first be able to distinguish between wrong and right teachings. To understand a wrong view is seen from the Buddhist perspective to be a necessary measure, not only to sound a clear warning against tenets that are spiritually detrimental, but it is also necessary to cut away the obstacles against the acceptance of right view, which is the forerunner of the Buddha's path.
Juga bisa berfungsi untuk memotong halangan-halangan yang membutakan dalam awal penerimaan pandangan benar yang membantu kita berkembang di jalan kebudayaan.
From this perspective too, we should understand that as right view is the forerunner of the Noble Eightfold Path, Arya Tangika Magga, so too wrong view is the forerunner of the Ignoble Eightfold Path, Anarya Atangika Magga. Therefore, we have here the right view, which is the forerunner of the Noble Eightfold Path, and opposite is the wrong view, which is the forerunner of the Ignoble Eightfold Path. Moreover, the Buddha declares the Ignoble Eightfold Path, which starts with wrong view, as the dark path, Kanha Magga. So, therefore, we have this Ignoble Path, which starts with wrong view, the dark path, and continues with wrong thought, wrong speech, wrong action, wrong livelihood, wrong effort, wrong mindfulness, wrong concentration. And then the Buddha declares the Noble Eightfold Path, which starts with right view, as the right path. Therefore, now we have the Noble Eightfold Path, which is the right path, and the opposite is the Ignoble Eightfold Path, which is the dark path. And these are the two opposite directions. It is in this dark path that the majority of people from birth till death travel along. And starting with wrong view, they cultivate wrong thought, wrong speech, wrong action, wrong livelihood, wrong effort, wrong mindfulness, and wrong concentration. Wrong view as the forerunner of the Ignoble Eightfold Path is declared by the Buddha as utterly rejectable, for being a source of wrong and evil aspirations and conduct, and also suffering. And it is liable at times to lead humans to the deepest abysses of depravity. Thus, the Buddha says, because of wrong view, unwholesome states, akusala, not yet arisen, arise. And unwholesome states, akusala, already arisen, increase. Because of wrong view, wholesome states, not yet arisen, are hindered. And wholesome states, kusala, already arisen, disappear. Because of wrong view, human beings after death are passing to a way of suffering, into a world of war, into hell. That's why the Buddha points out, I see nothing so blameworthy as wrong view. Wrong view is the most blameworthy of all things. Now, wrong view has many facets, and thus numerous wrong views and theories which at all times have influenced and still are influencing mankind are quoted in the sutras. Thus we have in the whole world, there are many views, many parts of the world and so forth. And these views are explained by the Buddha. One view is called Akirya Ditti. We will explain what it means later. Another is called Pupe Kata Hetu Ditti. Another is called Isara Nimana Hetu Ditti. Another is called Ahetu Apachaya Ditti. Another is called Sakaya Ditti. Another is called Sasata Ditti. Another is called Ucheda Ditti. Another is called Natika Ditti. Another is called Antagahika Ditti. So now we're going to explain slowly what it means, because it's very important to understand what means wrong view. Maybe you can find these wrong views in Indonesia also. So now the first view is called Akirya Ditti, the view of the inefficacy of action or inefficacy of karma. So according to this view, there is no result in offerings or charity, dana. There is no result of good and bad actions. There is no result in this world, in the next world. There is no result in helping mother and father. Nothing bad will happen if one kills, steals, robs, etc. No reward is to be expected for generosity, self-restraint, truthfulness, etc. So another is called Pupe Kata Hetu Diti, the view that all happiness or suffering are produced through actions done in previous lives. This is the teaching of Niganthanatha Buddha or Mahavira, the leader of the Niganthas, the modern giants. The fault with its doctrine is that it is predeterministic and does not account for that happiness and suffering which are the result of the present life's good or bad action. There is another wrong view which is called Isara Nimana Hetu Diti, the view that everything is created by a supreme God. And then we have another wrong view which is called Ahetu Apachaya Diti, the view that everything happens by chance without causes and conditions. It is uncaused. There is no cause for it. Yes. According to the above four views, humans are not responsible for their actions, so that all moral and spiritual exertions become useless. So everything has already been predetermined in advance for all time, decided by from the moment of one's birth, either by past karma, or by God, or by chance. Human beings are powerless to change them. Hence, all these can be called fatalistic views. So another view is called Sakaya Diti. This is called personality or self-identity view. There are various kinds of personality view that there is a permanent being, permanent entity, a permanent substance, a personality, a self or an ego, a spirit or a soul, in one's own or others' mental and physical continuum. This view is called the self-view, Atta Diti. Self-view is the basis for all wrong views and has in every situation and at all times mostly deluded, misled and divided mankind. Another wrong view is called Sasata Diti, eternalistic view. Is the view of belief in a soul, self, Atta or Atma, or personality. A permanent, unchanging self-entity existing independently of the body and mind and continuing after death eternally. That the soul and the world are internal, never changing and remain eternal. The psychological origin of this view can be traced to Bhava Tanha, the craving for existence, eternal life, or the immortality of the soul. It is the desire for the eternalization of the self, the desire to perpetuate our individual existence into eternity. Another view is called Ucheda Diti, a nihilistic view. This is the opposite of the eternalistic view. It is the view or belief in a soul, self, or personality as being more or less identical with the body and mind, which are all annihilated at death. After death, therefore, no further life will follow, and beings at death become dissolved into the material elements. This can be also called materialistic view. The psychological origin of Uchedavada can be traced to Vibhava Tanha, the desire for self-annihilation. What seems to be assumed here, it is that Uchedavada resists the belief in survival because of its fear of moral retribution. Because this view gives us an open license to live our lives without being burdened by a sense of moral responsibility. Thus, according to the Buddhist analysis, the dialectical opposition between Sasatavada and Uchedavada represents two things. First, the perennial conflict between the spiritual and materialistic views of individual existence. And B, the human's mind's oscillation between two deep-seated desires. So another view is called Natika Diti, nihilistic view. The view that all values are baseless, that nothing is knowable or can be communicated, and that life itself is meaningless. So if we ask what is nihilism, we give this answer. The rejection of all religious and moral principles in the belief that life is meaningless. Philosophy means the belief that nothing in the world has any real existence. And we must know that also that moral nihilists assert that there is no inherent morality and that accepted moral values are abstractly contrived. That knowledge is not possible or reality does not actually exist. So another view is called Antakahita Diti, views about the 10 antinomies. So these are views about whether the world is eternal or not eternal, finite or infinite, the body and the soul are the same or different, etc. In the Brahmajala Sutta, Digha Nikaya number 1, 62 false views are classified and described. These comprise speculations about the self or soul and the world, and how speculators about them are trapped in this net of speculative views. Now we must know now what is right view. Neither teaches a self, soul, a personality which will continue after death. Nor does he teach a personality which will be annihilated at death. But he show us that the words self, soul, personality, ego, individual, man, woman, being, etc. are nothing but mere ordinary expressions, Vohara Vachana, Loka Vohara, or conventional truths, Samuti Satcha. In the ultimate truth, Paramata Satcha, there are only processes, sankharas, of physical and mental phenomena which continually rise and fall according to conditions, pachas. Therefore, if we observe our mental and material phenomena, our body, our mind, and so forth, we can see there is a constant rise and fall of processes. This is a continuous rise and fall inside our mind and body. So therefore the Buddha speaks about the stream of consciousness. This is called in Pali Vijnana Sota. So he says also sometimes the stream of existence, called the Bhava Sota. So, and this stream, it depends on conditions, cause and conditions to exist. Thus, for example, there are 4 fundamental conditions for our life on which we depend upon. This is the chitta, mental conditions. There are karmic conditions, the good or bad karma we do, and the weather, atmospheric, temperature conditions. And there is the food, nutrition conditions. So we are conditioned beings, sankata beings, depending on cause and conditions that always are changing. They arise and fall and pass away. By seeing the arising, samudaya, and passing away via of all physical and mental phenomena, the Buddha gave up All imaginings, manyita. All conjectures, conjecture means guessing, maybe this, maybe that. All vainglory of I and mine, which is called ahankara, mamankara, and the underlying tendency to conceit, mana anusaya. These imaginings and vainglory and so forth arise because of clinging to the 5 aggregates. That means the 5 aggregates are the material body, the feeling, perception, mental activities, consciousness, vijnana, and how these are interconnected. So the clinging arises again and again in all these 5 aggregates. So therefore now it is the body, the feeling, perception, mental processes, and consciousness where we are clinging. This very clinging, which is called upadana, brings the existential suffering. So therefore, the Buddha is liberated from wrong views by not clinging to the 5 aggregates. So here the imaginings and vainglory and so forth, which are a kind of craving, are the psychological mainsprings that give rise to wrong views, which the Buddha gave up. The Buddha is an analyst, vibhajavadi, or more precisely a mind analyst or psychoanalyst. Therefore, his explanations are directed to a psychological analysis in order to discover the causes of all wrong views and see their danger and escape from them. Certainly, the Buddha diagnosed the origin of all these views by delving deep into the psychological mainsprings, plus transcending them by eliminating their psychological mainsprings through the insight of the impermanent nature of rising and passing away. So the principle of Vipassana is to see how all these phenomena, they rise and fall, they rise and pass away. So by seeing the impermanent nature, one does not cling to any phenomena and thinking this is me, this is myself. So then how do wrong views arise? The Buddha explains that wrong views arise because of not understanding feelings, vedana, and craving, tanha. He says, it is only the feelings of those who do not know and do not see. It is only the agitation and vacillation of those who are immersed in craving, tanha, that they can experience these feelings without contact between sense organs and sense object. Such a case is impossible. So they experience these feelings by repeated contact through the 6 sense organs. Therefore, these feelings and craving which arise can create many views about what we see, what we hear, what we smell, what we think. Accordingly, we will see that such views arise through a cognitive process of the mind that comes into contact with different objects and ideas and gives them different meanings. So here we have the sense organs and the sense objects, where, for example, the eye, we have also visual objects. So if a visual object impinges to the eye, then this has impact to our consciousness. This is called the eye consciousness. And this has impact to our feelings. If the object is pleasant, then we get pleasant feelings. If it is unpleasant, we get unpleasant feelings. And these feelings produce craving, desire. And then we have the ear, and also we have sounds. So if the sounds impinge the ear, then this has impact to our consciousness. And this also has impact to our feelings. And this also produce craving. The same way, if we have the nose and also the smells. So if smells what's called impinge on the nose, this has impact to our consciousness. So then, and this produces feelings and also craving. So then we have the tongue, we have also tastes. So if taste impinges the tongue, this has impact to our consciousness. And this produces feelings. So if the taste is pleasant, then we have pleasant feelings. If it is unpleasant, then we have unpleasant feelings. The more pleasant feelings we get, the more craving arises. So, and we think, oh, life is so beautiful. We become very optimistic. We think this will be eternally like that, forever like that. The craving arises to have these feelings again and again. And we think this will last forever. Then we have the sasataditi, eternalistic view. So, but if we have unpleasant feelings, then craving arises, it's called to destroy objects around in our life, which cause us unpleasant feelings. Therefore, we start hating things in life. We want to annihilate things, to destroy things which we think are unpleasant. So this is how Ucheda Diti arises. So now we have also other objects, we have also the body, we have also tangible objects. So if tangible object impinge on our body, then consciousness arises. And this produces feelings, and you have craving. Tangible objects are pleasant, we want them again and again. Pleasant feelings arise, and we want these tangible objects again and again. So, and then if they are unpleasant, we don't want them. That is another craving. It is the opposite of craving, which is that we don't want them around us.
Ketika
we want to destroy them, to remove them. That's why we have bhavatanha. We want something to exist. If something is pleasant, we want it to exist again and again. This is bhavatanha. Craving for existence of things. Because we have pleasant feelings, we get pleasant feelings. But if we get unpleasant feelings, then we don't want these things in our life. We want to destroy them, to annihilate them. That's why vibhava tanha arises, the craving of non-existence. We don't want these things to exist around us. This is also how views arise regarding these things. We have sasataditi views, uchedaditi views. So this is how the Buddha says, feelings condition craving. Craving conditions clinging to me, I, mine, and wrong view. And clinging, upadana, conditions becoming of actions. And becoming of actions conditions rebirth. Rebirth conditions aging and death, sorrow, lamentation, suffering, sadness, and distress. Those who are clinging to such views are not liberated from suffering. Now, we're going to see the cognitive process in the sense organs, which are described in several suttas. So, you have the eye cognitive process. If we see a visual object, it's called, then what happens in our mind? Let's see that this is our mind here. What happens in our mind when we see a visual object? So first is eye consciousness, which arises. After we have mental contact. After comes feeling. The feeling can be pleasant, unpleasant. It depends on the visual object. Then perception arises. What are the impressions we get from this object? After reasoning arises, we start thinking about it. After craving, desire arises. So, and this desire can be, if the feeling is pleasant, we crave for this object. But if the feeling is unpleasant, we crave this not to exist. We don't want it. We don't want to exist. Therefore, we have bhavatanha and vibhavatanha. So, and because of craving, clinging to wrong view arises. Now, if we, for example, have pleasant feeling and we like this object a lot, we crave for it, we want it to be there forever. So this is sasadaditi, means we have the wrong view that this will be there forever in us. So, but if the object is unpleasant, then the feeling is unpleasant. And then the desire, the craving comes, we don't want in our life. We want to remove it, to destroy it from our life. And we have the wrong view that this will last very long time to be unpleasant, will be always unpleasant. So that's why you get the uchedaditi, the annihilation view. According to that, we make actions. Karma, we make becoming of action, we make the karma. This karma, this karmic force produces rebirth. And then aging and death comes. So in the same way, in the ear cognitive process, we have the ear and the sound. And what happens in our mind when we hear sounds? So it's the same cognitive process. We have ear consciousness. In this context, we have ear consciousness. And the rest is mental contact, feeling, perception, reasoning, craving, desire for the sound. Now this craving can be double phase, is a double phase. How? If the feeling is unpleasant because the sound is pleasant, if the feeling is pleasant because the sound is pleasant, then we want the sound again and again. This is one phase of craving. So, and there is another phase also. Now, if the sound is unpleasant, then we get unpleasant feeling. Then desire comes to remove the sound. Don't want it. So that is another phase of desire. That is also not wanting something is also a kind of desire. Wanting not to want. So therefore, craving or desires, two phases. The positive, we want it, and the negative, we don't want it. And this is how the clinging to wrong view arises. Regarding them as permanent, do not see them that this sound can change anytime. So if we can't see this, we think if it's pleasant the sound, we think this will last forever. If it's unpleasant, we think unpleasantness will be there forever. So we can't see the impermanent nature of the sound, and we have wrong views regarding it. So in this produces karma, actions. This is the becoming of actions come, this bhava. Yes, this wrong view, this clinging to wrong view makes us to make actions. And these actions, this is a karma. This is karmic force produces rebirth. And this produces aging and death. So now we have also the nose cognitive process. We have the nose and smells. So now in our mind, we have, for example, the nose consciousness, in this case. And the similar process occurs also with mental contact, feeling, perception, reasoning, and craving for smells. This is how clinging to wrong view arises regarding smells. This is how the becoming of action takes place. We make actions in order to get good smells or in order to remove smells, because we don't see the impermanence of these smells. And these actions, these produce energy, this karmic energy or karmic force, which produces rebirth. This produces aging and death. Again, we have this tongue and tastes. And we'll see what happens in our mind. In this case, we have the tongue consciousness. And there is mental contact, feeling, perception, reasoning, and craving, desire for tastes. And this is how the clinging to wrong view arises because of test, because we don't send them as impermanent. So therefore, we may develop this sasata ditthi or ucheda ditthi. So, and this produces actions, this is the becoming of actions, and this produces rebirth and aging and death. So we have also the body, our body and tangible object. This is called the body cognitive process. And inside the mind occurs the body consciousness. We have mental conduct, feeling, perception, reasoning, and then craving, desire for tangible object arises. So if we don't see this tangible object, this is also impermanent, suffering, and so forth, then clinging to wrong view arises. Then we make actions, karma, in order to get these objects, because we think that they will be forever with us, or in order to destroy them, because we think we don't want them. So, and these karmic actions we do, this karmic energy, this karmic force, produces rebirth. And this produces aging and death. And we have the mind cognitive process. And then what happens if we have ideas, for example, what happens in our mind? So this is, in that case, mind consciousness arises in our mind. In here also there is mental conduct, there is feeling, perception, and reasoning, and also craving, desire for these ideas. And if we think these ideas will be everlasting and so forth, this is clinging to wrong view. So then, and this can bring actions for us to maintain these ideas, because we can't see the impermanence of these ideas. We make karma, these actions. And this produces rebirth, and this produces aging and death. We should note here that those who experience pleasant feelings through their sense organs developed optimistic views, which can be eternalistic about the soul and the God. And those who experience unpleasant feelings develop pessimistic views, which can be annihilistic, ucheda. Their feelings play a crucial role in adopting views about themselves and the world. We are going to see what is right view, sammaditi. Right view, however, is the realistic way of looking at life, nature, oneself, and the world as they really are. It is to understand how our reality works. Therefore, the Buddha says, when one understands as they really are, the arising and passing away of the 6 sense organs of contact, the enjoyment, asada, the peril, adinava, and deliverance, nisarana from them, then one knows that which goes beyond all these wrong views. Thus one understands. This viewpoint thus grasped and adhered to will lead to such and such destinations of rebirth in another world. This one knows and also knows that which goes beyond all this view. But one is not attached to that knowledge. In being thus unattached, one has experienced for oneself perfect peace. And here he says, and having truly understood the arising and passing away of feelings. Therefore, the Buddha insists here for us to see the feelings, how they arise and pass away. That is the first step for us to overcome these views, to see the impermanence of the feelings. Also, to truly understand the enjoyment, how we try to enjoy them, and what is the peril, the danger in them, and what is the deliverance from them. Then one is liberated through non-clinging. This is the Vipassana understanding. Vipassana understanding is to see that everything rises and passes away. Nothing is permanent. Therefore, the purpose of right view is to clear one's path of the majority of confusion, misunderstanding, and diluted thinking about the experience in life through the 6 sense organs. It is a means to gain right understanding to the reality of the impermanent, suffering, and non-self nature of all mental and material phenomena. However, right view should be held with a flexible, open mind without clinging to that view as a dogmatic position. In this way, right view becomes a route to liberation rather than an obstacle. As such, it acts as a reasoning with which someone starts practicing the path. It explains the reasons of our existence, our suffering, sickness, aging, death, the existence of greed, hatred, and delusion. An understanding of right view will inspire a person to lead a virtuous life in line with right view. Thus, right view is of the highest importance in Buddhism because many wholesome kusala states arise due to it. And in the absence of right view, many wholesome states can disappear. Now we're going to see the connection between the right view and the Noble Eightfold Path. Right view gives direction and efficacy to the other 7 factors of the Noble Eightfold Path. Thus, right view, when developed, ensures that right thoughts, samma sankappa, are held and it coordinates wholesome thoughts. When, as a result, right thoughts become clear and wholesome, we can practice right speech, right actions, and right livelihood. Thus, this becomes also clear and wholesome. And again, it is through right view that one gives up harmful, wrong effort and cultivates right effort, samma vayama, which helps for the development of right mindfulness. Right effort and right mindfulness guided by right view bring about right concentration, samma samadhi. Thus, right view, which is the mainspring in Buddhism, causes the other factors to move in proper relation in a way of coordination. Now, we're going to see how many facets of right view there are in Buddhism. First of all, it is a moral law of karma. It is to have right view about karma, and also to have right view about samatha meditation, tranquility meditation, and also to have right view about vipassana meditation, and also to have right view about the 4 noble truths, and to have right view about supramundane path and fruition, and also to have right view about nibbana. First, we're going to see about right view about karma, which is called the moral law of karma, and the karmic result or reaction, karma vipaka. It denotes the wholesome and unwholesome volitions, kusala and akusala cetana, which produce results and effects that correspond with the nature of that action. These karmic volitions, karma cetana, become manifest as wholesome or unwholesome actions by the body, speech, or mind. Accordingly, humans are responsible for their actions, so that all moral and ethical exertion become useful and beneficial. Everything is not predetermined either by past karma or by God or by chance. Happiness and suffering can be also the result of the present life's good or bad actions. And not everything a person experiences is always produced exclusively by past karma. Everyone is the creator of one's happiness and suffering, and everyone can change one's own destiny. When a person understands the law of karma and realizes that bad deeds bring about bad results, he or she will then practice right view and avoid performing these bad actions. Thus, one will trust to perform good actions and will have the right view that there is fruit or result of good and bad actions. There is the result either in this world or in the next world. There is good result in giving, in dana. There is good result in helping mother or father. Then one will understand that one can receive protection from one's own actions. It is the wholesome actions, kusala karma, which protect one who performs them. Let's go, therefore, in the Buddhist scriptures, we have Dhammo have rakati dhammachari. Dhamma here is the kusala dhamma. Dhamma means the kusala dhamma. Rakati means protects. Dhammachari means the person who practices the kusala dhamma. The dhamma itself, the kusala karma itself protects it. One really does not protection from so much from outside, it is protection from one's own karma, from one's own actions. Well performed, wholesome actions, kusala karma, bring about happiness. One who performs them does not go to a miserable existence. Good or bad actions do not have the same result. Bad actions lead to miserable states. Good actions lead to happy and fortunate states. And the principle here is, as you sow, so you reap. So, and then we have to see that there is another right view about samatha meditation. It means serenity meditation. This is the right view about jhanas, absorption. How these are attained and how to discern the difference between one jhana and the other. It dispels also the wrong view that jhanas are the ultimate liberation or nibbana. And then another right view is about vipassana meditation. This is the right view about the three characteristics of existence: impermanence or transience, anicca. That everything which has the nature to arise has also the nature to fall, to cease. So this is to see the rise and fall of all mental material phenomena. As the Buddha says, the rise and passing away of feelings, of desires, of ideas, of views. So, and another characteristic is suffering and not self, dukkha and anatta. That because mental immaterial phenomena are oppressed by impermanence, they are the source of suffering and not self. So another right view is about the Four Noble Truths. In several suttas, the definition of right view is given as the understanding of the Four Noble Truths. Understanding the existential suffering, dukkha in samsara, which is birth, aging, sickness, death, sorrow, lamentation, pain, grief, distress, and despair. And that the five aggregates of clinging are suffering, dukkha. And understanding the origin of suffering, which is craving, tanha. This is the second noble truth. So therefore the Buddha says it is craving, tanha, that leads to rebirth, accompanied by delight and passion, seeking pleasure here and there. Craving that leads to rebirth, accompanied by delight and passion. So, and then the third noble truth is understanding the cessation and freedom of suffering, which is the end of craving, tanha, that is nibbana. And then the fourth noble truth is understanding the path leading to the cessation of suffering, which is the noble eightfold path. Now we're going to speak about the dispelling of the wrong views. First, the knowledge of suffering dispels the personality view, Sakaya Ditti. If we understand the first noble truth, it's easy to remove this personality view. So the knowledge of origin of suffering dispels the annihilistic view, Ucceda Ditti. This is the second noble truth. And the knowledge of the cessation of suffering, the third noble truth, dispels the eternalistic view, sasataditi. The knowledge of the path dispels the view of the moral inefficacy of action, akiryaditi. This is the fourth noble truth. Now we're going to see the supramundane path and fruition and the right view regarding it. So this supramundane right view is about the attainments of the supramundane path and fruition, Maggaphala, namely Sotapati Magga, Sotapati Phala. That means path and fruition of stream entry. Sakatagami Magga, Sakatagami Phala. That is path and fruition of one's returning. Anagami Magga and Anagami Phala, path and fruition of non-returning. Arahata Magga, Arahata Phala, path and fruition of arahantship. It is a right understanding of how path and fruitions are attained, and how to discern the difference between one attainment and the other. And then we're going to see the right view about Nibbana. This is the right view that Nibbana is the cessation of mental defilements, such as tanha, craving, tanha in the five aggregates, clinging, upadana, attachment or passion, raga, aversion, dosa, delusion, moha, which cause suffering and rebirth. Now we're going to speak about two conditions for the development of right view. Anyone who wants to cultivate right view should know that there are two conditions conducive for its development. First condition is hearing or learning the Dhamma from others or reading Dhamma books. This is called parato gosa. Second condition is one's own wise attention, yoniso manasikara. That is wise reflection of what one hears, reads, and learns. The first condition is external, that is what one learns from others, while the second is internal, what one reflects and cultivates oneself. When right view is supported by these two conditions and is assisted by the practice of virtue, sila, by the study of Dhamma, by Dhamma discussion, by samatha and vipassana meditation, then it results to certain attainments. So the attainment of the supramundane paths and fruitions, up to the deliverance of mind, Cetto Vimutti, from all wrong views, and the deliverance by wisdom, Panya Vimutti, from all delusion, that is full enlightenment and full freedom of all suffering. So today we will conclude this Dhamma talk up to here, and wishing that you also have the opportunity to cultivate right view and attain full enlightenment and freedom of all suffering.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Anumodami Bante for the Dhamma talk today.
Now we are entering question and answer session. My name is Tita and I will get the question from Zoom or Telegram asked by the audience alternately.
Wandami Bante.
Sadhu.
Bante, first is about the question in the, I have two questions prepared. In the sixth sense cognitive process, the reasoning part, there's the diagram part, there's the reasoning part. Is that part of the investigating consciousness, Santirana in Abhidhamma?
No, that is Vitakka.
The reasoning
I
part.
quote Vitakka. It is, you have Vitakka, Vichara, and so forth. The Pali word is Vitakka, is reasoning.
Vitakka, okay.
Starting thinking about.
Okay, I will double check on that.
Regarding
this, the process, interestingly, the process which is the, sorry, give me a minute on my notes. Yes. What happened is when the whole process downward, right, up to the level sanya, perception, still with the sixth sense cognitive process, the sanya part, with this referring to the viparita sanya or sanya vipalasa, because one doesn't understand the real nature of the phenomena, the asad, because of doesn't understand the asada, adinawa, anisarana, bante. Can we say that based on this, is that the same on the sutta, the Magandiya Sutta, Majjhima Nikaya 75, that a leper that's suffering, yet he's burning the wound on the fire? Is it the same like the normal being that doesn't understand the asada, the adinawa, nisarana as such? When the perception arises, the perception itself is distorted? Could you explain all that? Thank you, Bante.
So first of all, I have to tell that this cognitive process, it comes from the sutta. So it's nothing to do with Abhidhamma, because some people, they confuse it.
From sutta.
The most famous sutta, it is Madhupindika Sutta. And this Majjhima Nikaya number 18, which is cognitive process is mentioned. So then, and there are other suttas about this Paticca Samuppada, especially how because of tanha, upadana arises, because of craving, the clinging, because of clinging, the bhava, and so forth. Therefore, this is a kind of suttas you can find in many places. It does not come from Abhidhamma. And this sequence is according to these suttas. Of course, in Abhidhamma, you can find this sequence many times.
Okay.
Because Abhidhamma explains in a more analytic way. So then regarding now Sanya, as we have told, the sequence is that first feeling arises.
Yeah.
After only Sanya arises.
Yeah.
Because feeling is, the Buddha says in this Brahmacharya Sutta, is a determining mental factor, so which influences also our Sanya. So if it's pleasant feeling, unpleasant feeling, that will determine how our Sanya will perceive these things and how our craving will be accordingly. So therefore, the Buddha in that discourse regarding these wrong views is giving a lot of emphasis to the feeling, to the Vedana. So in other discourses, he speaks about Sanya also. How distorted Sanya we have distorted Sanya, this Vipalasa, Sanya Vipalasa. And this Sanya Vipalasa can also produce wrong views, because the time we have wrong perception, it is very easy to have also wrong ideas and wrong views. So in this Dhamma talk, I did not go to explain in so much detail how these things happen. That's why I told you from the very beginning, I will try to limit myself to the limited time we have. In other discourses, I explain how this happened about Sanya Vipalasa. So, and how Sanya is also a very important mental factor which we should consider. So, and how it can give us different wrong perceptions of the impermanence of things, the happiness. We think the happiness we experience will never change, it will be the same. So, and about self, that we have some self inside us, which is permanent and so forth. These perceptions, slowly, if they become very crystallized, then actually become views. They can become strong and become views. So, therefore, in that context, I did not emphasize too much on Sanya, because the Buddha in Brahmacharya Sutta gives a lot of emphasis to the Vedana, because he wants to see the source. He wants just to the source from where actually Sanya, also craving and so forth, and clinging to wrong views are influenced. So therefore now, any other explanation about Sanya? So then you must know that you can find several suttas. especially about Sanya Vipalasas. There are 3 kinds of Sanya Vipalasas. Vipalasa. There are 3 kinds of Vipalasa: Sanya Vipalasa, Chitta Vipalasa, and Diti Vipalasa. Diti is distortions or illusions about views. And also to understand, not seeing that all things are rise and pass away. We think there's impermanent, the permanent things. Not understanding how we enjoy things without investigating them, and not understanding the danger in these views, Adinava, and not understanding the Nisarana, the escape of his views. So all these are included regarding the Sanya Vipalasa.
Bante, this is the last question from Telegram.
Okay, Bante. The questions is the feeling that is arisen. Was that because of the contact that is influenced from the previous perceptions that we have, that making and arising the dualisms about pleasant and unpleasant feelings? Or is it as a ultimate reality? Is it automatically creating pleasant and unpleasant feeling, Bante?
Yes, can be both sides. So that means it can be on the present moment, not something from the past. Now we see a flower, for example, we have never seen before. But because it looks so beautiful, the color is very nice, and then the shape is very nice, you get attracted. So the eye has an ability to see symmetrical forms. If it is something symmetrical, proportions, then it gets attracted. So if it is asymmetrical, distorted, then it gets repulsed. So therefore now this feeling actually is, it is attracted by the shape, by the color of objects. So then, and there are some objects which are actually very pleasant to see. For example, flowers. Everybody loves flowers now. Is anybody who does not love flowers? That is something which is because there is the shape, the color. So that's why this feeling comes automatically. We don't know to tell feeling, come, where are you? I want you now. It will come automatically. It is a mechanism of the mind, the present moment. However, if the flower, it is old, bad smelling, then immediately the feeling arises in the present moment unpleasant. So then, and we know if we offer very old flowers to somebody which are withered, the color is gone, he is not going to be happy. You can try and see, you can experiment. So, and because the shape, the color is gone, it is not pleasant to see. So then for now, automatically the unpleasant feeling comes in us. So then we don't know to tell unpleasant feeling, where are you? I want you now, come here. No, it automatically comes. It is a tendency of the mind. So in the present moment, that is one way how to understand feelings regarding, without any previous influence, it can actually, the present moment, get attracted or repulsed towards objects, pleasant, unpleasant. But it can be from previous experiences also. So then I will again give you an example with a flower. Now let's say that formerly a person wanted to get a rose. You know rose, no? But around the roses there are thorns. There are thorns. When he tried to catch the rose, he has been wounded by the thorn. And then he has a perception that roses are very bad. So he got this experience. So, and when he sees from the past, that is, but when he sees now a rose, he tells, no, I don't want it. Because his perception is roses are painful, means if you touch them, they are painful. So that his previous experience, his previous perception, so makes him to think now that roses are bad. I don't want roses, but I want something else, some other kind of flower, not roses. So therefore, this person has certain bad experience with roses, had already some unpleasant feeling with roses, and then he got the perception that roses are bad. When in the present moment he sees roses, this can influence his decisions regarding roses. So therefore now, how this feeling arises can arise in both ways. Uninfluenced from the past or influenced from the past. From the experience we have, which perception can also play a role. So then it is a mechanism. It is a mechanism. We see in the Paramatta, it means the ultimate reality, there is no person there. It is only processes which go inside our mind. This is called the Chitta Niyama, the law of mental processes. This is a law how things happen. This is a chain reaction, it is called. Chain reactions, you press one button, two buttons, three buttons, then you have this result. Now therefore, this Vedana, Sanya, and so forth, like buttons in us. If they get pressed, they give this result. If they get pressed in different way, they give different results. So, in special Vipassana, if we observe this phenomena in a very objective way, we can see how the mechanism works, how this Chitta Niyama, this law of thought processes works. So, and how our influences from the past can, experience from the past can influence our decision in the present also. And how sometimes without any influence from the past, we might be influenced from the present moment.
Sadhu, sadhu, anumodami. Thank you, Bante. Bante, please guide us for sharing merits.
So you can follow me. Ettavata cheyam hehi sambatam punya sambadan sabbe deva numo. Okay.
Ya, ettavata ca amehi sambatang punya sampadang sabe dewa anumodantu.
You can follow, you can together, no problem. Sabbe
Deva
deva
anumodantu. Sabe buta anumodantu. Sabe satta anumodantu. Sabba sampati siddhya.
Idamme nyati nang hotu sukita hontu nyatayo. Idamme nyati nang hotu sukita hontu nyatayo. Idamme nyati nang hotu sukita hontu nyatayo. Idamme punyan asavang kayavahan hotu. Idamme punyan nibbanasas paccayo hotu. Mama punya bhagang sattvanan pajemi. Te sabe me samang punya bhagang abantu.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Buddha sasanang cirang tithatu. Buddha sasanang cirang tithatu. Buddha sasanang cirang tithatu. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.